when you are busy, don't let your diabetes slip. Set reminders. Tell somebody else that you have diabetes and make sure they understand, and then pay attention to how you are feeling. It's going to pay off like you wouldn't even believe by just taking these small steps. Today, we are doing a little blast to the past. Today, I'm sharing some great information that I did a while ago, and it was just too good not to share with the Living Beyond with Hope community. So sit back and get ready to dig in and hear some great information. You're listening to Living Beyond with Hope. Hey, that's me.
Welcome to the podcast. This podcast is meant to help you realize you're more than a label, and you too can create a life you love despite it. Each week, we bring you tips and inspiring messages to help you take the positive steps in your health that will allow you to live beyond. Now sit back, relax, meal prep, or take a walk as you dig into today's topic with your host, a gal living her life to the fullest with type 1 diabetes, Hope Mangiafico.
Okay, so real quick about me. My name's Hope, and I am the owner of Hopeful Health, and I'm the owner of Hopeful Health, and I'm all about using exercise and nutrition as medicine, specifically for diabetes. I have type 1 diabetes, and I like to share my nutrition information, live workouts, Q&As, and live blood sugar checks. So anyways, I wanted to scope you to give you 3 little tips for how to stay on top of your diabetes care and management when you're really busy. So yesterday, we were going to do all this stuff for Hopeful Health, and then we got a call from my mother-in-law, and she wanted to come visit, which is a 2-hour drive. So we spent time with her all day, and we were just really busy, and we didn't get to do the things that we expected. And when that happens, it's super easy when things kind of surprise you and you can't think of your diabetes right away. And so there's 3 things in particular that I want to suggest when you get busy and how to stay on top of things. So number 1 is to have some sort of reminder, whether that's on your phone or I use an app called RapidCalc. And RapidCalc, you can set reminders to check your blood sugar before meals if you typically eat when, the same time. And you can also set reminders for 2 hours post-meal. And that's really helpful because if any of you guys know, 2 hours post-meal is when your blood sugar is always the highest, especially if you're eating high carb meals. So having a reminder to be yo, Hope, go check your sugar now. And that way, if you spike high, you can avoid staying high and you can carry on with your day. If you're busy for a reason. So you don't want to slow down. So reminders are amazing. I love the app called RapidCalc, and you can find that on my website because it's a weird name, and I think I sound like I'm not saying the right name. So if you go to my website, you can find it under Lifestyle Resources in my website, in my bio. So set reminders, or on your iPhone or whatever kind of phone you have, setting check at 8 a.m., 12 p.m., something like that, so you stay on top of it. And check not only when you eat, super important as well, because our bodies still have hormones running and it's still working hard. Like Melissa was doing yard work earlier. When you're doing work like that, your body's still working. And my website name is hopeful, HOPEFUL, health, HEALTH.com. And if you go to the website, there's a few tabs, and one is resources, and it's a drop-down menu, and there's one called lifestyle resources. And that actually has some of my favorite apps, my favorite exercise app where I use interval timer for RapidCalc, and just things like that. So super cool. And it takes you to the Apple iTunes library. So if you have a Droid, you'd have to probably do some research. So I apologize for that. But if you have an Apple device, totally check out these apps. And if you want to look at my blog, I have a review and kind of screenshots and teaching you a little bit more about the app. So totally check that out if it's something you think you would benefit from. I'm obsessed with it, especially being on shots because I don't have a pump. And so it it acts like a pump for me. And when you're insulin dependent, knowing how much insulin on board and all that stuff is so important. So point number 1 is have a reminder set. Okay, so number 2, always have someone that you know understand diabetes and like be able to tell like kind of what's going on in signs and symptoms. Even if you have type 2, like you can totally have high blood sugars, obviously. And there are certain signs that kind of give away, sometimes a little more than others, but have someone understand like the importance of like if you're looking kind of sluggish and if you are turning up pale and sweaty, like what that means. Like it could mean you have a low blood sugar or high blood sugar. And if you're busy, you typically are busy with someone else. So if that someone else knows the importance of these things, then that's going to really help you. And making sure that they also understand the importance of you staying on top of your care. And when you do that, they'll be like, hey, Hope, you just ate or something like that. Give your insulin, or hey, you should check your blood sugar before you eat. Like, it might feel like an annoyance, but it's totally for your own good. And I think it's a good idea. So find that one person in your life that can stay on top of your health when you are too busy to think about it, because it's going to pay off like no one's business. Is there a type 3? Yes and no. So in my world, type 3 means someone that supports a type 1. And that's like a support group thing that I had. So type 3 is like your spouse or a friend that supports you or your parent. But there is, and I don't know if this is medically like correct, but type 3 right now is actually considered if you have Alzheimer's, and I think linking Alzheimer's and dementia and calling it type 3 for diabetes. So super interesting. I don't know much else about that though. So technically, yes. And point number 1, have a reminder set on your phone or have an app like Rabbit Count. Point 2, always have someone around you that knows the importance of taking care of your diabetes and knows the signs and symptoms of high blood sugars, low blood sugars, and just staying on top of your health when you're too busy to really think about it, because it happens to the best of us. And number 3 is you paying attention to how you're feeling. So you're busy. I totes get that. Like you're running around, running errands, spending like 12 hours in Target and trying on clothes and grocery shopping, and you're freaking tired and you're like forgetting about it. But amongst all that, like you know yourself better than anyone else. And you want to pay attention to like, are you feeling thirsty? Are you feeling like you need to sit down? Because like when you're low, the last thing you want to be doing is shopping and walking around. But like you can't ignore that. You've got to pay attention to how you're feeling in that way. And if you're feeling thirsty, or if you're going to the bathroom a lot, or say like you're at a party or you're with friends and you're at dinner and you feel like you're going to the bathroom in like hour, 30 minutes, then you have probably a pretty high blood sugar and you can't ignore that. So don't fight it, like pay attention. And if you notice you're like going through glasses of water, then you probably have a high blood sugar. And if you notice, okay, this isn't for everyone a lot of times, but if your blood sugar is high, which for type 1 and type 2, that's usually more common than low, you feel kind of tired and exhausted. And for me, like I feel kind of nauseous and like food sounds gross and I don't want to do anything. And when I notice that, and there are certain sensations that I have, like when I'm high, the way my mouth feels, I don't know if that's just me, but like I'm like, okay, I'm totally above 200. And as much as I don't want to see that number, like I gotta check. So when I start feeling that, I go and I check my blood sugar. I close my eyes and I'm like, please don't be above 200. And I open my eyes and I am. But I don't ignore them. So that is tip number 3. And I know that these are almost, especially tip number 3, it's almost like common sense, but it's so important because I'm surrounded by so many people with diabetes. Like that's my jam. Those are my people. And so I witness how they take care of themselves and what they do and don't do. And so many of them don't tell people they have diabetes. And then they also ignore some of the things. And sometimes that could be a mental thing of not wanting to accept it, but also just too busy to care. And I don't want that to be you. So yes, when you are busy, don't let your diabetes slip and make sure. Now, if you miss like one blood sugar check, okay, it's not going to be the end of the world. Although I know your care might slip a little bit, but set reminders. Tell somebody else that you have diabetes and make sure they understand, especially if you have a spouse, like make sure they really get it. And then pay attention to how you are feeling. All right? It's going to pay off like you wouldn't even believe by just taking these small steps. So it happens, but that's probably about it. Well, on this note, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for joining. Please, please, please share this. And if you know someone else that could benefit from this, like share it with them, share the rebroadcast. Like you can do all that and make sure you're following me so that you can be notified when I have really helpful tips to share, such as this. To me, this is a huge step. And it's just a little reminder of how to take care of your health. So thanks so much for joining, and I'll talk to you guys super soon. Bye. Hey, you still there? Thanks so much for hanging out just a little bit longer. I greatly appreciate it. If you found this episode helpful or even a little bit life-changing, it would mean the world to me to have a review in iTunes. A review in iTunes just lets me know that I am actually providing you with the correct guidance and mentorship that you need to live beyond your label and to be confident in who you are. This episode was also brought to you by my next step guide in embracing your label with confidence, which is called Choose to Live. In Choose to Live, there is a checklist of what to ask your doctors. There's an audiobook. So if you like podcasts, an audiobook filled with affirmations to remind you of who you truly are, what you're really made of, as well as some really homework and checklist and guidance for your family members so that they can support you along the way. This episode was about community, and you cannot do this journey alone. So if you're interested in learning more about Choose to Live, just visit www.icanlivebeyond.com, and you can find that in the show notes as well at livingbeyondwithhope.com. And otherwise, I will see you on the next episode.